Hey, this is Ricky Kalman, and welcome to another episode of Amplify Your Mindset. Thank you for listening and watching. Those of you that are able to see us, whether it's on YouTube or on my platform through my mobile app or on my website, I really do appreciate your support. And you can also pick up a copy of my book, Leverage Your Mindset, available online from Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target, and Walmart. And please, one more plug, don't forget to download my mobile app. Just go to your app store and search the title Ricky Kalman. I'm going to offer you tools and techniques for mindfulness, meditation, sleeping better, reducing stress, losing weight, and much, much more. So please check it out and please leave a review. Now, let's get on with my guest today on the show, Christine Trippi. I got a chance to meet her a couple weeks ago. I was so engaged by her enthusiasm. I had to learn more about her. And she's been in the business for over 30 years in the hotel business, the hospitality business. She is definitely somebody you will not forget. Her brand new book, Yes is the Answer, is also available. Also, a #1 seller on Amazon. And I'm just excited. Look, there's the plug. And if you're watching, she just held it up. That's awesome. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ricky. I enjoyed meeting you so much too. I couldn't wait to learn more about you, and I'm hoping in the session you might hypnotize me.
There you go. There you
I
go.
can't wait.
Maybe you hypnotized me and you didn't even realize it.
That's awesome. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Let's get right into it. Christine, you've been in the business for 30 years. You are an expert and very well known in your field. And I really teed it up by saying your energy because you have a lot of energy, but you have a special gift about creating an experience. And that was what really intrigued me. Even in the 5 minutes I met you, there's so many memorable moments in that pivotal moment that caught my attention. Let's go back a little bit. You've been in the hotel business. Give us a little bit of your career. Give me a little bit of a cliff note version of what's been going on.
Perfect. Well,
Let,
lots
let,
has
let,
been
let-
going
and,
on.
and by the way, I'm going to break it up in two different answers. So let's
Yeah.
talk about your work in the industry itself.
Perfect. Yep, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, it's kind of exciting because it's this month. It was February 17th in 1987 that I started in the hotel business. And I started as a van driver slash laundry girl while I was in the high school work program. And I had no idea that I would spend the rest of my life in hospitality. It was really just to get out of school early. But I immediately, from the first comment card that someone wrote that I made a difference to them, I was hooked. And 34 years later, here I am crossing the country, sharing my passion for hospitality and helping others receive award winning service and provide award winning service. So it's just been an amazing journey. I just am so blessed.
One of the things that I'm fascinated with, in the service industry and especially in the hotel industry, and a lot of my clients are in the hotel business, and I speak to them about creating, this memorable mindset experience that really sticks with us. I mean, when people go to a hotel, they're looking for the basic needs, of course, but people really love when they have an experience, and when they talk about that experience with other people is your walking billboard.
Mhm.
What was your pivotal shift? I mean, I get it. You started out in the business, and then you really grew to this hospitality. And again, I don't want to use that word lightly because from what I'm reading about you and what I know about you is that you did create about creating these magical moments, if you will.
Yes. And kind of like what you mentioned in the very beginning about each transaction, each interaction. I look at everything we do as a transaction, and I always think, how can I make that an experience? From the most simple things like sending out an invoice to our people who we have direct billing with and whatnot, to just a check-in. What can I do to make every experience, every interaction an experience? And you know what? It's just part of who I am. I love taking care of people. I love making people feel special. And it came out naturally. But then I talk about in the book how my real passion and my mission to change the world one yes at a time came from a story my dad told me. And from that day forward, I no longer had a job. I had a mission that I could change the world by just being that light for somebody else. And that's honestly 34 years. That's been my focus. And that has guided me to all the things that I have today, that pure, honest wanting to serve.
What's the story? Let's talk about the story you
Okay.
had.
Well, I'm sure you've heard the starfish story, right?
Please share.
Okay. Well, I love sharing this. So the starfish story is about a young girl walking along the beach. She's throwing starfish into the ocean, one after the other, one after the other. And a gentleman walks up and says, "What are you doing?" She says, "Oh, well, there's a low tide and all these starfish are going to die if we don't get them back into the ocean." And she says, "Help me, let's toss them in." And he says, "Look around. There's millions of them. We're never going to make a difference." And she says, "Really?" And she throws one back in and she says, "I made a difference to that one." And I just mentioned to you how I got that first comment card. And it was that day that I got that comment card. I brought it home to show my mom and dad. They were so excited and proud of me. And that's when my dad told me that story. And to this little 17-year-old, I'm telling you, I have goosebumps right now. that just hit it home. I meet people from all over the world every single day. They walk through my front door, and I get to make a difference and change the lives. And then I share another story in the book about when you pair that cute little story with what we really do every day, we really make those connections and we can really change the world. And I've got some real heartfelt stories of where we really changed someone's world. So that when you compare those two and you realize, yeah, we don't just serve food, clean rooms, and check people in, we get to change the world every day. And when you give your team members that mindset, that's when you become award winning.
Christine, you said a word twice that really resonates with me.
Okay.
How often have you been with friends, family, whatever, on a Sunday night and you hear somebody say, "Oh, we got to call it a day. I got to go to work tomorrow." And when I hear that, I hear so much despair, so much frustration, so much unhappiness.
Mhm.
There's no gratitude, there's no driven passion, there's no purpose. Just in that word, I got to go. And by the way, the grammar is not great. Either was that statement, but I got to go to work. And we hear it. You've said it
Mhm.
now twice on this podcast. I get to make a
Yes.
difference. How often do you hear somebody say on a Sunday night, "Hey, I got to call it early. I get to go to work tomorrow"?
Yes. I say it all the time. And as a general manager of a select serve courtyard property, I'm telling you what, it is a lot of work, and there's a lot of things you deal with and whatnot. But when you have a purpose and a mindset and a passion, every day is a blessing. And I know, you could look at me and go, "Oh, this crazy lady." But I really feel that. I really feel that and mean it. And then when I moved on to a senior role at Marriott and I got to cross the country sharing my best practices on how I took a red zone 30-year-old property and made it in the top 5% of the organization, I was just astounded at the response and how I was able to do this for so many others, and not directly my work, but just my inspiration to them and guidance to them. And then I watched them get to walk on stage and collect awards and move their hotels up, and that was just a whole new love. So yeah, it's a blessing. Okay. Ricky, it's funny that you mentioned and picked up that I said "get" a few times. About 10 years ago, I created a huddle for the power of get and the power of yet. And huddles are that 15-minute little pre-shift that you do with your team, and that's how you set that mindset every day for all of your team members. And the power of get is, rather than saying "I have to go to work" or "I have to go to the grocery store," that's one of mine that I always said "I have to." If you change that to I get to go to the grocery store and buy healthy food and create dinners where I get to have great conversations with my family. You can turn all those haves tos into that get to. And again, that's a great mindset. That's how you can start your day. You can start your day. Then the
Yeah.
power of yet. Oh, go ahead, Ricky.
No, 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 please go for it.
Okay. The power of yet. I learned this, and I think it was a TED talk. There is a teacher in Chicago. I live in Chicago, and she never gave any failing grade. Every grade she ever said was not yet, because you may not have passed yet, but you did not fail. You will do it, just not yet. So when some of our hotels fail their brand standard audit or fail certain other things that they need to do, it crushes you when you're that leader and you don't pass. And I always would share this huddle with them that you did not fail. You just haven't passed yet. So again, another great mindset.
One of the things that I talk about on stage and even in my programs is that words are magic to a receptive listener. The words we say to ourselves internally and externally. And I found it interesting that you changed the meaning of the morning meeting, to the huddle. And that alone can change the perspective of the attitude of the team very quickly versus a, our morning meeting or our huddle. It just sounds more inviting, more creative, and it does set the tone when working with employees. So I
Yeah.
wanted to make a mention of that. The second thing I want to kind of dive into here is that, and it's unique because I travel about 150 dates a year on the road. I've done it for the last 30 years, except for this
Wow.
last year, which is kind of a complete pivot for me. However, you and I both, and we'll talk about this, we both pivoted in our business. However, it seems to me that a lot of the stories that I share on stage happen to be about my experience at hotels.
I knew you were going to
About
say
Yeah,
that.
because we're prone to it. And in fact, if you ask a lot of speakers in the business, and I've seen many of them share stories. I remember laughing. I was in the audience one day watching a speaker before me, and he was sharing this incredibly powerful story about a hotel experience. And I'm like, wow. So one thing I wanted to go into, instead of sharing this great experience, what I wanted to talk to you about for a brief moment is that one thing that I have noticed is how hotels, resorts, properties aren't perfect. But when something does happen, how great and amazing properties pivot and turn that moment from what could be a really bad brand experience to try to turn it in a way, acknowledge it, not cover it up, say we're sorry, and also create such an experience that the guest has already forgotten about the negative experience itself. I'm
Absolutely.
throwing that at you. Can you share with us something like that that has happened to you?
I have a million stories that I can share with you, and that is part of the training that I work with hotels with. It's empowerment and it's problem resolution and it's about empathy and getting in the guest's shoes, all of that. So we cover that a lot, and you hit it on the head there with admitting, you know what? Oh my goodness, that's so frustrating. We messed up. I'm so sorry. When you can get off of that, I'm going to find a way that make this your problem, you can win any customer back. And so I'm going to one that I share in my training that comes to me immediately. This was when I was assistant general manager at the Residence Inn, and a lady came down to the front desk. A guest came down, and she asked to speak to the manager. So the associate was very empowered and would have tried, did say, is there anything I can help you with? She said, I want to speak to the manager. So she came and got me. So I came up to the front desk and I came around, I shook her hand, I did all that. And that's just customer service 101 or problem solving 101. Never deal with an upset customer or interact with an upset customer over a counter. That counter creates a barrier that you don't want there. You want to come out in front, be with them, and be that human being with them. When you're behind a counter, you're a clerk in their way. When you're in front of them, you're a human being. So tip number one. So at any rate, this particular guest, her name was Miss Quinn. She, I'll never forget her. She didn't have her room cleaned. And on the first day, she just never said anything. and she just was upset and disappointed and went off to work. And there's the key: 34% of our guests don't tell us when they have a problem. So we can't fix it because they don't tell us. So it's about asking the right questions as well. So she came back the next day. Again, her room did not get cleaned. So that's when she was very upset. She needed her garbage changed. She needed her new shampoos and things like that. So she came down the desk. Now she's very upset. Well, I took care of the situation. I listened to her. By the time we finished that situation, I was hugging. We were best friends. And I'll tell you honestly, what I did is I gave her 10,000 Marriott reward points, which was enough for her to spend on her own time a free room. And that was exactly what she expected and wanted, and a little bit more. However, just because I solved the situation to her liking, that wasn't enough for me. So once she left, I went and I got Starbucks. I bought flowers. I bought a chocolate cake, and I put the chocolate cake inside the refrigerator, tied to a ribbon, and a balloon on the outside says "Look inside." So I set up all this fun stuff, and that was my last day at that hotel before I was going to open up a water park resort. And so I never saw her again. Well, 2 weeks later, I received a card in my mailbox that said how she was absolutely blown away by how not only did I recover to her expectation, but how I made her final night so incredible. And this is a lifelong guest now. Because of that problem that happened, she's more loyal to us than ever before. If she had an okay, perfectly stay, she might have came and went and didn't even remember the brand that she stayed at. But because of what happened and how we resolved it, she was be a lifelong residence and guest.
And that memory that she will have from that stay there will stick with her. And when the brand name is mentioned, the memory comes forward, the experience, even the color of the balloon, I'm sure is still resonating with her as she has probably told that story multiple times. And it has completely domino affected a whole, a group of people that you're not even aware of, but you became a brand ambassador very, very quickly. All right, let's jump into the book here. Yes is the
Okay.
answer.
Yes is the answer. There she is. Isn't she pretty?
Yes, she is.
So excited. So, yes is the answer is all about my 4 steps to always saying yes. When you're an associate and you have to say, no, I'm sorry, unfortunately, you lose your confidence. Your voice gets weak. You start to hunch over. And the one gift I'd love to give all service providers is to stand tall, be empowered, and lead from the heart. And by being able to give yes answers, you can do that. And I know oftentimes we're in situations where we have policy or laws and things like that. So yes can be very difficult. And as I cross the country, I would see so many leaders with yes is the answer signs, and they tell their associates yes is the answer. And I'd ask them one of my hard no questions, and they would give me a no, I'm sorry, unfortunately. I'm like, wait a minute, you got the sign up here. You're telling your associates it's not enough to say yes is the answer and hang a sign. We need to teach our people how to say yes. And this is a little snack of a book that teaches you that 4 steps.
It's awesome.
And go ahead.
No, no, I'm so intrigued, and I wish you were a little more enthusiastic. I
I
think that
know.
would, I wish people would understand that you're not as quiet as this. Um, I, I, I think you've got so many lessons here, and if you don't have to be in the hotel business, the service business, the experience business to understand the power of some of the things that the little nuggets that you're sharing with us right now, because this really does transcend to any business, product, service, medical. If you're in sales, if you're a leader right now or an entrepreneur, there are so many things that you can learn from stepping back and being in the audience of your customers. And that's what I'm hearing from you is try to put yourself, what would you want to experience? And by the way, doesn't it feel great when somebody exceeds, your own expectations, and you get more out of what you ever expected?
Hmm.
And by the way, don't go in with the expectation sometimes. Don't feel as though They better, they better exceed my expectations. Go in with with the open mind, and yet at the same time see what happens.
Right. And you know, it's funny because there's a lot of training that I've been doing recently with everything our industry's been through. We have come the guest profile has changed, and we're trying to pivot with all the medical pieces and the new standards and all these things that we've kind of lost that hospitality because we're just trying to get the transactions done, and we've stepped back. I keep promoting about how we need to get back to what we do best, hospitality, so we can launch into our future. I just did a back to the future rally yesterday. And that's the thing, so many of us have been so beaten up this past year that we're arriving with the wrong mindset. We're arriving already to have a confrontation with somebody who wants to get away with something, or somebody who thinks they're trying to cheat me or whatnot. If we go in loving our customers, loving our associates, loving our investors and owners and stakeholders, go in with the right mindset, and your whole day changes.
Hmm.
Your whole day changes. And I'll give you an example with yes is the answer. It just happened. I was shoe shopping. So this isn't even at a hotel. I was shoe shopping, and I was looking at this really awesome pair of red pumps, and I wanted these. And I'm looking up, and I see only an 8. I'm an 8.5. So I'm trying these 8s on like I am Cinderella's stepsister, trying to shove that foot in that shoe. It's not happening. So then I see the sales clerk person coming down the aisle, and I said, "Oh, hi, good morning." I said, "By any chance, do you have these red shoes in the back in an 8.5?" And what do you think she said? She gave me the quadruple whammy, which the quadruple whammy is no, unfortunately not. Everything's out, ma'am. So she gave me a no, and I'm sorry, and unfortunately, and she called me ma'am. I like to say, don't call me ma'am unless you have a cowboy hat on. so, so I'm like, oh wow. And then she literally just walked away. There was no, unfortunately, sorry, ma'am, that everything's out, and walked away. And it just broke my heart. I wanted to take her up and give her a little huddle. Now let's take this in context with yes is the answer. The first thing is someone asks you a question, for example, do you have these in an 8.5 in the back? Is make friends first. When you are often caught off by that you don't have any in the back, so the anxiety of that confrontation gets the better of you, and you just shout out the no, I'm sorry, unfortunately. Rather, stop, take a breath, and make friends first. Get in that mindset. This is your friend. So a way to make friends first with this situation could have been, oh, those are great red pumps. You're going to look great in those. Do you have a special occasion you're shopping for? Now I'm getting some golden nuggets about this person too, where I can connect and build a relationship. Okay. So now let's just say they don't. First of all, just pretend and going back and check. Just make me feel like you're at least trying. That's their first yes. And by the way, the second step after make friends first is tell them what you can do. So let's say she went back and tried, came back out and said, here's what we can do. I can call another store and see if you don't mind going to pick one up. I can call and have these ordered for you, and they can ship to your house. Or let me show you 3 other pair of red shoes we have that you might like that we have an 8.5. There's so many yes answers. Instead of just being like, no, I'm sorry, unfortunately not, walks by. Do you see how much more of an experience that could have been? And could you imagine if you're the kind of store that keeps a loyalty club, which I was a loyalty member of this particular store, and whatnot, you could have even gone bizarro extra mile, sent that person a card. Good luck on your speech that you were buying shoes for, or something like that. Could you imagine? That's the kind of stuff I like to do.
Well, it creates an experience no different when people go to a Disney property. They talk about the experience first, not necessarily how much money they spent. People
Mhm.
shop at Nordstrom's because of their incredible customer service, their training, their loyalty, the cards I get, and talk about shoes. Probably I would say 99% of all the shoes that I buy are from Nordstrom's because of the incredible customer service they have with shoes.
Mhm.
And I still get notes from Nordstrom's. I have a contact at Saks Fifth Avenue that literally, when something comes up and she knows that I like it, she'll literally send me an email and say, I'm just, no pressure, but I have something you might like. Here's a picture of it. Here's a picture sent to my email. And there
That's
have been
amazing.
times I'm like, hold that, I'm on my way. That little extra effort goes a long way. And
You
regardless of the business that you're in, now more than ever, when we learn to pivot and change our businesses, and we have to, whether it's complying with safety and health and physical contact with people,
Mhm.
there's no reason why you can't turn up the volume in other areas to reassure people that you're there to help serve. And by the way, when you do that, your business prospers. It does grow. I mean, we're a for-profit business. There's, except unless you're a fundraiser or you're, a, a philanthropist, which again is raising money, but
Yes.
it really is about turning up the volume in many areas. And,
Mhm.
and by the way, you don't have to turn it back down.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to say is all the examples you gave, Nordstrom's, Disney, you are mentioning the top of the top, that they charge the top of the top as well. You know what? This was a Carnival shoe store. Okay. I like Carnival shoe store because I get to spin the wheel. And at the checkout, I love an experience. When I first saw their spinner wheel, I was like, I love this store. What I am trying to say is that so many times your mindset is, well, we're just a Payless, or we're just a Courtyard, not a big Ritz Carlton, or you're not just anything. Remove just from your language as well.
I agree.
You are providing an experience, and this is the real thing. All of our hoteliers, we always think about our top loyalty guests, our ambassadors, our platinums, our diamonds, and yes, they deserve the best treatment and all of that. However, I want you to focus. If you've got 10 upgrades, I want you to focus a couple upgrades on the new guy. Let's show them what it feels like to be a diamond, and they're going to work to become that diamond. I'm a little guy, okay? And you know what? I'm just coming up in the ranks, and I love it when someone actually makes me feel special, even though I might not have the status or the money to shop at Nordstrom's. Let's let that little guy feel what that's like.
I absolutely agree. You do not have to be an expensive brand to
Mhm.
create an experience that doesn't really cost you anything except the human factor.
Yes.
And so again, it doesn't make a difference what you do. I mean, we've seen the videos online of the garbage collectors that literally are waving to people or tapping a horn, or
Mhm.
again, creating such an experience that people go, that's my, uh, so it really doesn't matter the industry. It doesn't matter the cost. I think that the things that you're offering, and it's not necessarily something you purchase for them, it's
No.
about the interaction. So this is phenomenal information. I could spend another hour with you, and I know that you could share more stories, but I want people to buy your book. Yes, is the answer. It's available on Amazon. And again, I'm going to say a #1 bestseller. You're a speaker, you're a trainer, you're a coach. I'm going to make sure again for all my listeners, if you're just joining in this conversation, this is your first time on my podcast or watching, I'm going to put your entire bio, links to your site at rickykalman.com, Christine Trippi, and I will definitely tell more people about you because this was so engaging, and I thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. You're leading the way for me. I watch you. I watch what you do in the world, and I'm just like, yeah, I want to be like that. So thank you for your leadership and for
Oh, you're
your
too kind.
example to me. Thank you.
Oh, you were way too kind. Thank you so much. Have a great day. I look forward to having you back.
Thank you. Okay, I love it.